everybody, this is Rhys Barber from Audiology Associates. Thank you very much for watching our earwax removal video today. If you've never come across our channel before, we post new earwax removal videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 PM UK time. So if you do enjoy the video, then please consider subscribing. This is one patient that's come through to clinic this week. This lady had been to see another audiologist who had managed to clear one of her ears, but was unable to clear the other. They did remove some wax, but they couldn't get all of it out. The reason they had so much difficulty is this patient has a really, really narrow ear canal, so really small, not only narrow, but very, very short as well, certainly at the entrance, which means that it's really, really difficult to get standard size tools in here. So what we've got in here is something called a fine end, which is a very, very thin tube. And you can see here that we've got this really soft, sticky wax that's stuck to the top of the canal wall and then dropping down over the eardrum itself. So the reason this lady's had quite a lot of difficulty is where that wax has dropped down over the eardrum, it's actually stuck to the bottom of the eardrum, so it's causing quite a few issues. And because it's attached to the roof as well, it's holding that wax really firmly in place. So what we're having to do here is gently tease the wax away from the canal wall to start with. So we're unsticking it. Now, because obviously a lot of patients at the moment are getting quite desperate with their earwax problems, they're putting lots of different drops in there. What I think has happened here is the lady's used a drop that's actually been melting the fats that bind the wax together. So something that's got a peroxide or a bicarb base. And what that will do is it will sort of turn the wax a little bit mushy, a little bit liquid. And then when that wax dries back out again, then it tends to form this really sticky nature to it. And that's exactly what's happened here. So instead of the wax coming out of the canal, it's actually flowed backwards and stuck to the eardrum. So this is a really delicate process to remove this. So we're just gently teasing all the way around the outside part of this wax before we can attempt to take that central section away. So what we'll try and do is loosen up as much of the wax around the outside edge, just slowly working our way around the top of this canal and then down the side as well. And then every so often we'll just have a little bit of suction onto the central portion of wax, just to see if we get a little bit of movement there. If we do, then we know we've loosened it enough, but if not, then we'll carry on and loosen a little bit more. So you can see that's what's happening here. I'm just seeing if we can loosen this central section here. It's quite a painstaking process, this one, because the fine end is very, very narrow. It's about 1 millimeter across, so it's really tiny. Well, when you've got a very small aperture on the end like that one, when you're suctioning this really sticky tight wax, it blocks that suction tube really, really quickly. So it does involve a lot of sort of taking the tube out, flushing the tube through again with water, and then going back in and taking it out. So it's doing a little bit, bringing it back out to flush it through, and then going back in again. So you can see we're working on the top portion of the canal there, just trying to bring this down. As the tube goes in, you can get an idea of how narrow that canal is. So, we can barely accommodate the fine end and the endoscope at the same time. We're having to kind of stay behind there a little bit just to accommodate both in there and give us the maneuverability at the moment. But as you see, as we touch the top of the wax, see how it flexes and bends back and forth? So it's showing me it's just starting to loosen up a little bit there. Thank you to everyone who commented on YouTube and Facebook about Mrs. B coming on live. I think you did the trick. I think you did the trick. She was calling me lots of very funny names yesterday because I put it on there to call her out. But we will both be on a live, and that's going to be coming up hopefully really soon. We're just organising stuff so we can get all the equipment we need to get the live going. And as soon as we've got a date and time and we know we can do it, we'll pop a notification on for you as well. Hello to everyone as well who is joining us on Instagram TV. We've put our first video on there yesterday, first earwax removal video, so we're hopefully going to keep that up as well. So if you do enjoy it and you are watching us on Instagram, then drop us a heart, drop a like on the video for us. So we've introduced a little bit of olive oil just on the outside here. Unfortunately, because the canal is so narrow, the oil just didn't penetrate down far enough. So the last thing we want to do is put more and more oil in here, especially with the entrance, because the little fine cilia are growing all the way round the outside of the canal wall. So if you're I've got a very, very narrow canal. Imagine if you've got quite an open canal, these cilia are going to sit quite far apart. When you've got quite a narrow canal or a very small canal, those cilia are much, much closer together. So they form this little mesh, and that's what's happening. But if you introduce too much olive oil in there, then what happens is the olive oil sticks to all those little hairs, and it really obscures your view. So you have to try and use it quite sparingly on these smaller ear canals. So you can see we've got a little bit of movement here to the top as we're pulling. See, as we pull down, the whole thing starts to draw forwards, which is a really good indication that we're getting a little bit of traction to this wax. Now it's starting to loosen off the canal walls a little bit more. There we are, just pulling down, and it's peeling. You can, there we go. So that whole chunk peeled down from the top there. It's sort of loosened. We can just see that we've just got a little bit stuck to the left canal wall there. As we go back in now with the camera, what you'll see, if we get through, there we go. I've just got a little bit more. When you look at the main block of wax at the back there, you'll see the top section now is completely detached from the canal wall. So when you look at the wax, you can see how it's smoothed against the canal wall on the left-hand side. So that shows me that we've still got a little bit of wax sticking to that left canal wall there. So what you can see me doing is trying to pull across to the right. Now, don't forget the canal walls are really, really sensitive. So if you go pushing too hard into those, digging into those canal walls, especially in this deep in the canal where you're sitting directly on top of the skull, on top of the bone, it's really uncomfortable for the patient. So it's working just above that skin to be able to pull that away. There we are. You can just see I'm trying to maneuver this, sort of pull it down, because don't forget the bottom of this is going to be stuck against the eardrum and the valley. It's not really budging, so I put a bit more olive oil in here, and you see what I mean now about the cilia. It kind of coats the outer part of the cilia there, and the oil hasn't quite got down. There's a little bit's got down in there, but not a great deal. But as we pull across to the right, can you see it just detaching from that canal wall there? There you go. And now what we're going to do is try and bring this section forward, because don't forget, as we're pulling across from the left to the right, it's butting up against the right canal wall. So we have to kind of draw it forwards to give us a bit more wiggle room, if you like, in there. It's just pulling forwards now. We're just rocking it. And we've got a good grip on the top. And there we go. So that bottom section came away there really nicely. You can see just how small this canal is now, because as we've got this is the fine end. Look how small that canal is in relation to the fine end. So we're just going to try and put the Jobson. We can barely fit the Jobson horn in the entrance there. So we're just going to use that to pull this through. Fine end is great for maneuverability, but not great for suction power. So for holding on to something. So there we go. We've got that nice section there. And we've got another little bit. So the back end of that block of wax now is sitting just inside the canal. We're going to hold on to that and maneuver that out. But don't forget that this wax now is free. We can barely get the Jobson horn in here. So if we go pushing in there, it's just going to knock that wax much further in, and we've just got to start that whole process again. So better to use the fine end and kind of wedge it into the canal entrance, or get it out if we can. But if we're not, wedge it as we've done there, and then go over the top with the Jobson horn. There's less chance of it moving backwards at that point, so we can bring the whole thing out. Here we are. If we take a look behind that, and there we go. The eardrum looks lovely and healthy there. Good little light reflex on the corner. So this is what we removed. We've got 1.5 centimeters just over. So that's, what's that, 3/4? Yeah, 3/4 of an inch. So yeah, quite, it doesn't look like a tremendous amount when you put it there, but when you put it in relation to the size of the ear canal, it was obviously quite a lot in there then. Well, I hope you did enjoy the video, guys. Thanks very much for tuning in on YouTube, Facebook. There's so many now, Instagram. So if you do enjoy the video, then don't forget to give us a like. If you're not subscribed already, then please consider subscribing. Thank you very much. As always, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and I shall see you again real soon.